Shalom once again, my dear friends. Our lesson for today would be regarding an examination with regards to the book of Hebrews. As we all know that the book of Hebrews has an unknown writer or author. And if we study the book of Hebrews, which has an unknown author, we can notice that its content is Antinomian, anti-Torah, and with a fabricated mystic text masquerading as divine truth. And in today's passage or message, we will discuss the things that are incorporated in this book, which called Melchizedek, being the quoted priest and attributed it to Jesus. Another one is that the New Covenant in Jeremiah 31 is quoted in chapter 8. In these two instances or topics, we will discuss it in details. And so therefore the New Testament, and including the book of Hebrews, speak Jesus, or they declare Jesus of Nazareth, and the alleged Messiah of Christianity was a Jew. He was a Jew and born under the Torah. This was stipulated by Paul in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 4, verse 4. And he was strictly bound by Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 2 if he is or he was a Jew and born under the law or under the Torah, which states that you shall not add to the word which I command you, nor diminish it. This is with regards to the Torah of Moshe. And so since Jesus was a Jew, he must strictly be bound and be strictly should follow what was the Torah. And therefore any act of altering the Torah disqualifies the person as a prophet. In Deuteronomy chapter 13 verse 1 to 4, and he can, if he is a priest, he is also disqualified in Numbers chapter 3 verse 10, or a messianic claimant as in Isaiah chapter 11 and Ezekiel chapter 37. The book of Hebrews, without known author, openly breaks this law and therefore make Christianity's theological structure invalid and fraudulent by its own standards. Specifically in 1 John chapter 2 verse 4, whoever says, I know him, but does not keep his commandments is a liar. Therefore, anyone who deviates from the law of God, which was written in the Tanakh, they deviate from what is truth, which is the law of God. And so we will now focus on topic number, which is Melchizedek. And the Hebrew claim, the author of the Hebrew claims that you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. That was written in Hebrews chapter 5 verse 6, and this verse was quoting Psalm 110 verse 4. And in reality, if we read Psalm 110 verse 4, which says, in Hebrew it says, Atakuhen liulam al-divrati Melchizedek, which literally means you are a priest forever according to the word or manner of Melchizedek. The word al-divrati in Hebrew does not mean after the order, and the King James translations after the order is totally false. So this is not an endorsement of a Melchizedekian priestly succession, but a poetic reference comparing the Davidic king's righteousness to the historical Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14. So therefore, there is no priestly order of Melchizedek in all of the Tanakh, not one verse. So the Torah law says that in book of Numbers chapter 3 verse 10 that only Aaron and his sons shall serve as priests, and the strangers, who are the strangers, those who are not Jew, who come near shall be put to death. Therefore, anyone who is not the descendants of Aaron, they could not serve as priest according to the law of God, Numbers chapter 3 verse 10. So Jesus, being from the tribe of Judah, according to Hebrews chapter 7 verse 14, he is forbidden to serve as a priest. There is no prophetic passage ever speaks of a new priesthood or transfer of Kohen as authority to a different tribe. Therefore, the Hebrews fabricated a new priesthood that directly violates the Torah or the law. It uses a mistranslated poetic psalm as legal basis for doctrinal revolution. Therefore, this is a false foundation of a fabricated priesthood, right? So Jesus could not ascend to the priestly line since he was from the tribe of Judah, and that was according to 7:14. Anyone that is from the tribe of Judah could not ascend to the priestly order. In item number 2, in the book of Hebrews 8 verse 8 to 13, quoting Jeremiah 31, and we know that this message or passage in the Tanakh and the prophets was the most abused prophecy in the New Testament. Now we come to the details of this. Okay. In the book of Hebrews, it says, chapter 8 verse 8 to 13, I will make a new covenant, not like the covenant I made with their fathers. In that this, he says, a new covenant, he has made the first obsolete. Okay? So, according to Paul, or whoever wrote this book of Hebrews, that the covenant of God in all times was obsolete, and therefore, according to the writers of the Hebrews, this new covenant, New Testament, which is the covenant of Jesus, was it became the replacement of the first one. The first one became obsolete according to the writer of the Hebrews. So we will now discuss the actual text in Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 30 until verse 33. It says that I will put my Torah, my law, in their minds and write it upon their hearts. I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sins no more. So the key point is that this is not a replacement of Torah, but an internalization of the same Torah. So, meaning to say that the same law that was written in the upon the tablets of stones is the same Torah that God made with Israel in this passage of Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 30 to 33. So the Hebrew word says Torati, meaning to say my Torah, not my new law or Torah Hadash. Walang ganong sinab. There is no such thing as that. So, not Jesus' teaching, not Pauline epistles. So, therefore, this Torah that God made a new covenant with Israel is the same Torah. However, this Torah is the internalization of that law that God will place in their hearts and in their minds. Okay, so the astonishing insight is that Jeremiah 31 is specifically addressed only to Israel and Judah. No Gentiles mentioned. So even if it did replace Torah, which it does not, it would only apply to the Jews. Yet Hebrews applies it universally, even unto the Gentiles. So that is totally opposite interpretations or knowledge of what is called New Covenant. The New Covenant that was written by the prophet Jeremiah in chapter 31, verse 30 to 33 is the same covenant, the same law that was written on the tablet of stones. However, this new covenant will now be written in their hearts and in their minds. But according to the writer of the Hebrews, it became obsolete. But it is not. It is not an obsolete. And the writers of the Hebrew applied it to the Gentiles, which prophet Jeremiah said that it is the covenant of God to the house of Judah and to the house of Israel. Therefore, Gentiles is not included in that covenant. The writer of the book of Hebrews is trying or was trying to include the Gentiles, which is tantamount to misunderstanding of that passage. So in conclusion, Hebrews quote only part of the passage and ignores the definitions of the covenant. It misapplies its audience and builds a theology on this eisegesis. It's a theological crime. Alright? So, the book of Hebrews is considered as anti-Torah, Antinomian, and against God. So, hopefully, we have learned again something from this episode. Shalom, shalom.